Hello, my skincare professionals, colleagues, specialists, whatever your title is in this industry. I'm continuing to give my input and my opinion on different topics and subject matters in this industry. A lot of questions that I get from those that just finished schools and are entering this industry is, how do I start? Do I rent a room? Do I work for someone? Do I open my own practice? What do I start with? What is my specialty? What specialty should I choose? My name is Rosa Leon. I am a licensed esthetician in the state of New York. I am also a licensed instructor in the state of New York. I have been practicing aesthetics since 1999. I've graduated from a skincare school in Atlanta, Georgia, and since then I have never stopped practicing aesthetics. Shortly after, I went back into the school where I have completed my skincare program, and I have taken an extra program on becoming an instructor. So I have been a licensed instructor and a licensed esthetician for over 20 years at this point, or maybe even 25 years. So my take on how do you start is definitely, it definitely depends. If you are someone who has an entrepreneurial nature, then eventually, whether you go and work for someone, eventually you will open your own practice. But this is the beauty of this industry, is that you can do a little bit of everything. You can have your own practice while you are still working for someone. And that's what I love about this industry, is that it is so diverse that you can really do a lot of things without giving up one or the other. You can do it all. But in the beginning, of course, it depends, because your first year is the hardest year. In your first year, lack of experience. Yes, you went to school, but remember, undergraduate schools are only prepare you to pass the state board exam, so you're only learning the basics. In a lot of cases, what happens is that we graduate from the aesthetic school and we pass the exam, get our license, we're so excited, and we go to apply for jobs and no one wants to hire us. And that is a very, very common thing. And the reason employers don't want to hire is because they have to invest in you. So employers want an esthetician that's already seasoned, that has an experience, that has certifications under their belt, and they know what they're doing. Nobody, especially now, not a lot of employers want to invest in you and train you. So a lot of times you are faced with that problem, that no one wants to hire you in the first year. So what do you do? So of course, the first suggestion is that while you're in school, you have to be proactive and productive. So that means that you have that 6 months to a year, depending on the state, your program. You have to participate. That's number one. You have to get as much hands-on practice as you possibly can. Number two, you have to network. You have to subscribe for magazines, and you have to get that knowledge, advanced knowledge, under your belt. So when you do graduate and you need to show your resume to a new employer, you have things to put on it. So that means while you're in school, go and internship for a spa. Practice, invite as many guests to your school as possible. Do as many facials as you possibly can. Attend seminars. There are a lot of free education in the industry, so definitely look for it. Attend free seminars. If you financially can't afford, then go and get paid classes. So by the time you graduate, you have things, you have education to show, you have practice to show, you have number of facials that you've done to show to your new employer. And so again, how do you benefit from working for someone? Let's say you get hired. What happens when you do start working for someone? Yes, you get the hands-on experience, because most of the time working for someone means that the clientele will be provided for you. Yes, you will be expected to retain that clientele, but the clientele in most cases will be, the new clients will be supplied to you, and you will be provided with new clientele. That means that you can practice your skill. Now, another thing is that most of the time, if you are working for a reputable company, then they will provide some training for you. That means product training, how they do their services. They will teach you a service. So you will get service training if they carry certain machines like laser machines, advanced machines, that you will be trained on how to use those machines. So of course that's a big plus, an advantage for you to advance, to learn more. You will also interact with other specialists. You will interact with maybe more seasoned estheticians, massage therapists, laser technicians, doctors, medical practitioners, and so on. So that also gives you a lot of practice and experience for developing your craft. The downfall of working for someone is, of course, you don't have the freedom of controlling your schedule. You have to use an equipment and the product that spa is using. So you are definitely lacking that freedom of, as a practitioner, of using what you love, what you want to use. But while you're learning, that's actually not a bad thing. I think in the beginning, whether it's a bad experience or a good experience, it's a good experience still, because learning bad is also good, so you know what not to do, and you get to compare bad and good. So the only downfall, like I said, you don't get paid as much maybe for what you do. There's a commission, or there's a W-2 pay structure, and you don't get a freedom of picking your own schedule, and you don't always love what that spa is using. So that's the only downfall of working for someone. If you do decide to work for yourself, then from the beginning, then my biggest advice is start small. Start from renting a room before you actually expand into a bigger establishment, bigger place or spa. So just rent your own room, and learn how to work with products. And the biggest thing is learning how to market yourself, how to manage your finances, how to manage your inventory, your expenses. So start slow if you do decide to work for yourself. Of course, the beauty of working for yourself is freedom. You get the freedom of selecting your own product. You're managing your schedule, your own systems, your own design. So it's your baby. So at that point, you have a lot of freedom of creating your own practice, and that's a new project. That's very exciting. I was always on the side of working for myself, but then again, I worked for great companies, and that's what made me a great esthetician. If you do decide to work for yourself, again, my advice is, before you do that, before you jump into renting a room and buying things and spending money, first create a business plan. Even if you start small and it's just renting your room, create a business plan for yourself. It doesn't have to be anything professional, just a small business plan where you have a plan on how you're going to market yourself. And I think that's number one. Number two is that finances, how much money are you putting aside for rent, for your calculate how much is going to be for a product, how much for equipment, what type of equipment, what are you going to specialize in. I always say, if you're new in the industry, always have a mentor or two or three, get help before you start spending money. Pre-calculate everything, because there's so much to buy in this industry, and it is so overwhelming that a lot of times you spend all this money and you're not ready for it. I trust me, you will be closed in about 3 months. Remember that getting yourself ready for the workforce, whether you work for yourself or you work for someone, starts in school. Don't waste your time while you're taking your program, undergraduate program, and preparing yourself for a state exam. You have to take that extra mile. 60% of that program is your time that you dedicate to extra curriculum. You have to put in work to study, to find information. Don't rely on your teachers, because you never know who your teacher is, what experience they had, because most of the time educators, us instructors, we are teaching from our own experience, and you don't know if that instructor, or how much experience that instructor actually had. So especially nowadays, when all the information is accessible to us, definitely take your own responsibility and study, network, study, ask questions, bring guests, do as many facials as possible, and read a lot, watch videos on YouTube, Instagram. We have enough sources where we can get the information. Like I said before, there's a lot of free education, seminars, symposiums. Laser companies are constantly bringing on a lot of free seminars, product lines. There is so much free information. You don't have to spend a lot of money on education before you graduate school. So get yourself ready for that day when you graduate school, when you pass your exam. Your resume should be full of information for your new employment, or for you to open up your own practice. So everything starts in school. Don't waste your time. So the more active you are, the sooner you will understand what you want to do in this industry and what your specialty is going to be. It takes experience. You can never know what your specialty is right from the get-go, right from finishing school and entering the world of aesthetics and knowing your specialty. It doesn't happen. It comes slowly. It comes with an experience. But the more active you are, the faster you will come to that realization of whether you want to become an acne specialist, or pigmentation, anti-aging, and so on, or hair removal. It just takes activity. It takes being productive. It takes network, and it takes education. So I hope that little bit of advice will help you to make a decision, or to know how to move on. You can always contact me. You can write to me. I do have a medical spa where you're welcome to come in, and I'll show you how I run it. I'll show you what I have in my medical spa. So please, don't hesitate. I can be one of your mentors. Contact me, write to me, and I really hope to hear from you and to see you soon. Bye, guys.